Today I would like to discuss a subject, mindful eating. In Satipatthana Sutta, sutra which teaches about 4 types of mindfulness, teaches us about mindful eating also. It doesn't have a very detailed explanations, but some commentaries to Satipatthana Sutta have given some details about mindful eating. So, as we all know, eating is the most popular subject in Singapore. In some places, some countries, people meditate on food every day because they don't have food, don't have enough. I don't say here have more than enough, but fortunately, people here are not struggling. Of course, they have to struggle for their work, but not struggling to find food. Food is easily available, and they have many varieties. It has some advantages and disadvantages also. So it is good to pay attention towards eating or mindful eating based on teachings of the Buddha also. When food is easily available, I said have advantages and disadvantages. Sometimes people don't appreciate it, and the other problem is disadvantage is people like to eat too much, not very careful about that. So when people have food which is easily available, they eat without thinking much about the nutritious value or value to maintain health. People usually go for the taste and appearance. Actually, people pay more attention towards the appearance. That is why food presentation has a very important place. Different people, different restaurants, food stalls try to do very pleasant presentation for food. Then every day advertise. The problem is we do not know whether they do advertising correctly, because profit and attraction is more important to them. So they try to attract people for any kind of food. What they want is to sell and making profit. Therefore, sometimes we have to have a second thought before we choose food or before we eat food, whether they are presenting or offering right food or not. Then when we talk about monks also have some advantages and disadvantages. People always try to offer good food. If we think of a traditional country, people in a traditional country, sometimes they are quite poor, not very rich, but they try to offer better food than what they eat. So when they offer dana, food is better. But that is one advantage. Monks live in poor country also. If those countries are traditional, although people are poor, monks hardly have a problem of food. They always get better food than the people who are doing offering are taking. But there is a disadvantage also. We got no choice when people offer. We had to accept, we had to take. In some cases, people want to see when monks are eating. When they offer something, they want to know monks are eating more. So they are happy. If we don't eat much and put away some certain food, some people are not happy. The main reason is they are not so educated. They think they offer out of love, compassion and respect. So monks must eat their food, and by seeing it they are happy. Some food may not be very good for us. We may have to put aside. We may feel they are not so good for our health, but we hardly have a choice to discard, because while we are eating, people are watching. So but we can eat when people are watching, because from young we were trained to do so. But the problem is, when we want to avoid some food, it's very difficult. So sometimes I have heard some monks used to say their stomach is not belong to them, belong to people. They give, we eat, they are happy. Whether we are happy or not, it's a different thing. Anyway, we are still thankful to those people. We appreciate their compassion, appreciate their generosity. But disadvantage is their choice. Sometimes when there are many food, people can have a good choice. But for our case, when we have a lot of food, we don't have a choice. We have to take food to make people happy. So, in food culture, we have this kind of problems. Anyway, mindful eating is important. Mindful eating is important to avoid some problems which we experience as a result of unmindful eating. Even with mindful eating, we can educate givers also, those who give dana. We can talk to them and educate them. Just because you offer many kind of food does not mean receiver must eat. Receiver has to choose only just enough food, and only food which is possible for receiver to eat. So we can educate people to understand that just because you are offering many food, you should not expect, or you should not force them to eat all the food you are offering. So I haven't really come to the topic yet. Anyway, I heard a story, incident actually. Before come to the real topic, I would like to tell that also. This happened in Sri Lanka in a house where people were offering food for months. So they invited one of the family members, got a very close friend who was a British white man. So this man invited the white man, British man, to come to the function, come to the ceremony. So he was observing everything because everything was new to him. So they brought monks in a very respectable way. Washed their feet, arranged them to sit on the specially prepared everything was amazing. Monks were brought by people. For every monk, they carried one umbrella to shelter. Then specially arranged place. They were asked to sit. Then some ceremony, part of the ceremony was going on. In the end, started to do offerings. Then they were offering so many types of food. So after monks finish eating food, they offered dessert. This is not exaggerated one. I am not adding because I also have the same experience. Now less because I hardly go for ceremonial dana. Then they offered curds. You know, curds is good food but heavy. Curds. After curds finish, they offer other kind of desserts, pudding, ice cream, then offered some cookies, one plate of cookies with quite a number of varieties, then with cake, then after that one plate of fruits for each monk. So it was amazing for that Westerner. He wondered about that and he worried about monks. But in the end, those people offered 1 cup of coffee for each monk. Then the British man said, "That's right, that's good, that's okay. Now everything will be all right." Because his thinking was, people have given so much food, monks had taken so much food, they will be in trouble because of too much food. But after a cup of coffee, everything will be okay. So he believed taking 1 cup of coffee after eating a lot of food is good. I think this is good for you to learn also. If you eat too much, take 1 cup of coffee. But I don't know whether that man is correct or not. So, in a way, this is advantage and disadvantage of monks. No choice. They have advantage is they have so much food. Some people have less food, but monks have so much food. That's the advantage. more than enough food. That's the advantage. Disadvantage is no choice. We have to eat more than we need. So it is again not so bad in olden days when I was a young monk. What do you call when I was a novice monk or teenage monk? It was not so bad because we go for a dana by walk. Always we had to walk. If we were invited by a nearby temple means at least about 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers away from our temple. Then we walk to that temple. After that, people come and bring us to the house. Again, have to walk a certain distance. Coming back also, we had to do the same thing. About 1.5 kilometers, 2 kilometers, sometimes even nearly 3 kilometers. We had to walk back to our temple after the lunch. That was okay. But now it is terrible because we never walk. People think Sri Lanka is very, very poor. But I can say it's not very rich. Cannot say very poor. Almost in every temple have a vehicle. Poor temples also have at least three-wheeler. You know three-wheeler, but you have a different name. Noisy vehicle, at least have. So monks can go by that. Or some temples of course don't have. People fetch them by a car, by a van, fetch them for the dana. Straight go to the house, have the dana, then straightway sent to the temple. They have no chance of walking. So that kind of eating is a disadvantage more than an advantage. So the important thing which we have to do is educating people, telling them not to offer too much food, too many dishes, all these. But not many monks are interested in that. So that is generally about eating. But now we can come to mindful eating. So generally, this is not scientific way. Generally, I can say there are 4 types of food which we have when we are eating. We have food, that means first category we can say drinking food. Some food we can drink, like fruit juice, milk, and there are many types of food which we can drink. Then there is another type of food that can be eaten by biting or chewing. We have rice, some all kind of vegetables. We can bite, we can eat by chewing also. Then there is another kind of food that eaten by leaking. That is like honey. But when I say about food we had to take by leaking, it is important to understand monks are not supposed to leak when they are eating. So how do we eat honey? Some food like honey have to leak. That is not prohibited for monks. Leaking was banned for monks with Vinaya rule or disciplinary rule. Leaking palm, leaking fingers, that kind of leaking is banned for monks. It happened mainly because of the situation of the society where the Buddha lived. The Buddha lived in a society where there were a lot of Brahmin society. And some Brahmins became monks also. So, they could not give up their habit. Brahmins eat a lot of food with ghee and that type of oil. Therefore, after eating, or while they were eating also, they used to leak their hand and palm. So it was a common practice. But the Buddha asked monks to avoid that practice, leaking. But when they are eating something like honey or similar food, leaking was allowed, but of course not leaking fingers or palm. So, food, drinkable food, then food that can be eaten by biting or chewing, food that is eaten by leaking. So these are the food usually we have. All kind of food can put in these categories. So when we eat, if we say mindful eating, we have to be mindful when we are eating all these type of food, or these 4 types of food. When we want to eat, especially if you are in a retreat, meditation retreat, you are advised to eat mindfully. In your usual life, it is a bit difficult because you go to a restaurant, if not you buy food back, if not cook at home and eat. You cannot follow the way people practice in a meditation retreat. So mindful eating is very much possible for people who are in a retreat. But it doesn't mean others cannot. Others can do, depend on the possibility they have. So when people are in a retreat and go to eat, what they have to do first is they have to take if they feel their hands are not clean, they have to wash hands. Then they have to take a plate. So washing hand should be done mindfully. Taking a plate must do mindfully. Then if a Chinese generally may take a bowl, so must take mindfully. Then have to take spoons. For Chinese people generally, I can say they take what do you call chopsticks, whatever they take, they must take mindfully, not just take, just go and take a plate, put food, eat and run away. Instead of that, do all these things mindfully. Take a plate, wash hands, take a plate, then take spoons or chopsticks. But Buddha's time, Buddha hasn't mentioned about chopsticks. Then we may put food on the plate. Then we may put we may take the food to eat. At first, put food on the plate. That is where mindful eating is very important. There may be some varieties, but we should take those food very attentively. We must be very mindful. We must choose what is possible for us to eat. If there are many varieties, it doesn't mean we can eat all. Or we should not think, I must taste of all the food. That is very much against the, what do you call, ethics of a retreatant. A person is attending a retreat, it is not ethical. Tasting all the food. Instead of that, must choose what are the possible food for him to eat, for her to eat, then choose those food. And the more important thing to be mindful is just enough food, not so much. Just enough food. Must know the limit of our need for a meal. Based on that, must choose. Then mindfulness cannot stop there. Then have to be very mindful. Go and sit somewhere and eat. While we are eating, mindfulness is also very necessary. If we want to mix food with rice, we must mix carefully. Then when we put in the mouth, when we put food in the mouth, we have to pay attention towards that. Not just put and swallow, must put carefully. If it is something to be bite, have to bite properly. Then if there are some food, vegetables, to chew, must chew properly and swallow in. So, when a person pay attention towards all these actions, instead of just eating, that person, he or she needs some clear attention, clear mindfulness. Mindfully, we say that is mindful eating. And generally can say it is helpful for proper digestion and proper amount of food taking in. So this is mindful eating, but I don't think everybody should follow all these way or all these ways to eat. In normal eating, when you are eating at home, when you are eating in a restaurant, you may not be able to follow all this whole process. But in a retreat, you definitely have to follow it. That is a part of mindfulness. It helps to be mindful. But again, we have to remember, if it is possible in our normal days, usual days eating at home or anywhere, at least can make an effort to follow these methods. It is helpful, it won't be wasted. So mindful eating is very important, even guided by the Buddha in Satipatthana Sutra, of course not with details, because mindfulness is not something which we have to practice only in certain aspect of our life. Every aspect of our life we have to practice mindfulness. Nothing can be avoided. Everything, for everything of our life, we have to be mindful. In our normal life, or when we are in a retreat or meditation practice, wherever we live, we have to practice mindfulness for everything. That's why there is a walking meditation. While we are walking also, we have to practice mindfulness. And it is not only when we are in a meditation retreat, we have to be mindful about our walking. In our normal, usual life also, we need to practice mindfulness. Especially when we are old, we need mindfulness in walking more than the time when we were young. But I have noticed a very strange nature of old people. Many old people don't like to use, maybe including me, don't like to use a walking stick. Sometimes young people like to use, old people don't like, because they think that is a sign of old age. Don't like to show they are incapable of acting, walking and doing things like young people. So they don't like to use, but sometimes they pay a very high price for that. Sometimes they pay a price with their life. Sometimes get paralyzed after fall. After falling down, get paralyzed, suffer so much, and make children or family people suffer. Only happy people are people who run nursing homes. They are happy because they can charge so much to look after them. So we should try to overcome this kind of unfortunate thinking. If we are old, if we have some walking problems, some difficulties with our hands, legs, we must get a support. Old age is one thing. Being careful about our safety is another thing. So mindful walking is very important. I always, here I don't have to be very careful when I go to the bathroom. I have a very small bathroom, so I cannot, very difficult to fall down. Wall here, wall there, front, back. So I'm not very careful about that. But when I'm in Sri Lanka, I'm not saying Sri Lanka has, I have a very good bathroom, very simple bathroom, but very big. So tiles on the floor, have tiles, and it is like a killing place for me. So every time when I enter, I have to be very careful. Just sleep does not mean I have anything to hold. That can be the end. So if it happens, one surprise. So I am always very careful when I go to the bathroom in our temple, in Sri Lanka, in our temple, because I know that is very dangerous and tile floor is very slippery. Younger days, even I sleep, I know quickly get adjusted to it, but now it is impossible. So I would like to advise you all also, even if you are young, bathroom is not a very safe place. Of course, some bathrooms are especially prepared for old folks. Even that bathroom is a place to be careful. I know many people have fallen down in bathrooms, admitted to hospital, whole life suffer. So next time we can talk about mindfulness, using bathroom mindfully. Although Buddha had not taught, because no bathrooms at that time, and mindful walkings. Today we discuss mindful eating. Mindful eating helps us to avoid eating poison, or even if we eat good food unmindfully, sometimes can be poison. So mindful eating can help to avoid that. Okay, thank you.